Hello friends, welcome to Live Out Loud with Jason on this beautiful Monday in June. Hope you're having an amazing day. We had some crazy storms here last night in the Dallas area, but we all survived. So I'm glad that you are here, I'm glad that we're here, and I'm glad that you've joined in with me today. It's my honor to get to speak to you today, and I hope you'll join in on the conversation. I hope go ahead and leave a comment, whether you're watching live or whether you're watching later. I would really appreciate it if you leave a comment and just tell me what's going on. Tell me what you think about what I'm sharing here today. Whether you like it, love it, hate it, or question it, whatever. I'm here for you today. So I want to talk to you today. Living out loud, right? What does living out loud mean? And I ask this question every single time. What does living out loud mean? And because I want this to sink down into our thoughts, into our hearts, living out loud means discovering who God created you to be. Uncovering the skills, the talents, the purpose, the calling, the gifting, developing those, using those, and making this world a better place, and glorifying God by living your best life the way He created you, and not trying to live someone else's life. And I bet there's a good chance if you were to take an inventory of things that you want to do or you think you should do, maybe this is something you've been putting off, is taking that next step. Maybe it's taking the first step. Maybe you haven't even taken the first step. Or maybe it's the next step. What does it cost you? What does it cost you by waiting? Maybe you've been waiting months, years, even decades. What are you, how far behind are you? Every day that you don't live out loud, every day that you don't move forward is going to be another day of regretting that. Or, I don't want you necessarily to regret, I don't want you to regret the past at all. There's no value in regretting and focusing on that, but there is value in taking decisive action today with a new direction, pointing us at the right destination. And friends, I want to encourage you, I want to inspire you, I want to provoke you to get started, to keep going, to not give up. Every time you fall down, get back up, okay? Failure is only happens when you stop, and when you stop getting up. So, one of the things that is sometimes tough is discouragement. If you're trying to climb Mount Everest, and you can climb for days and look, and you're still near the bottom. And I think, for me personally, and I think for most people in general, one of the keys to remaining positive is to set up a series of small victories, aka milestones. Milestones can be what's the best way to eat a horse or eat an elephant? Same way, one bite at a time. So break up your huge goal, your huge dream, your grand destination, whatever it is. Break it up into smaller pieces. Start by dividing it in half. Okay, so I want to become whatever X. Okay, and when is that? Is that a year from now? Is that 5 years from now? Is that 10 years from now? Okay, let's just say that it's 10 years from now. Okay, where along that path do I need to be in 5 years? Okay, where along that path do I need to be in 2 years? Okay, in 1 year, in 6 months, in 3 months, in 30 days, in 7 days. What can I do today? So when you break it down and you know that it's a 10-year plan, but you see that, gosh, I've been doing this for 6 months and I've accomplished that. I'm on first base. I'm on second base. So when you get there, like when you're playing baseball, you want to get a run, but first thing you have to do is you have to hit the ball. And then you have to make it safely to first base, and that in itself is an accomplishment. And friends, I want to remind you that to not get discouraged, to set up milestones for yourself and celebrate those victories. And don't stay there too long, but celebrate those victories. Yeah, I just made it. I'm making progress. What I'm doing is working. I'm on the right path. I'm pointed in the right direction. I can measure that I've made progress. And so I think that's important. Hey, there's Mom. Hey, Mom, thanks for joining in today. I'm so glad you're able to join in today. Okay, so for instance, let me give you an example. If you're trying to lose, say you're trying to lose 100 pounds, and again, I'm just going to use a weight goal because that's an easy one. There's exercise, there's growth goals, there's all kinds of goals, but if you focus on the scale every day, then it can be very discouraging for a few reasons. One, because our bodies fluctuate daily and weekly on the weight no matter what, okay? And so what you're more interested in is the trend. Am I generally trending up in weight or trending down in weight, right? Well, one of the things is that makes it easy. See, when you stand on that scale, when I stand on that scale, whatever number is on there is the result of past actions. Past actions. And so when I'm standing on that scale, I can't change anything right then and there. So that's kind of like looking at the score of the game after you've already won or lost. Well, what can I do to make sure that next time I step on this scale, it continues to go in the direction I want it to go? Well, that's easy. Focus on diet and exercise. So once you determine what your diet and what your exercise, your movement goal, whatever it's going to be, okay, measure that instead. Measure that. Here's how many, whatever you're measuring, calories or macronutrients or whatever it is, I'm going to, or portions, I'm going to measure this. And I know that if I take these steps and I exercise 30 minutes a day, or I walk 3 miles a day, or I eat this in my diet. If you measure those, you can impact those every single meal, every single day, every time you open your mouth. And then the scale is going to come into alignment with that. Okay? So those are what we call lead measures, right? And so whatever your goal is, break it up into small pieces, but focus on the things that you have direct control over. Direct control over. Every one of us have control over what we eat and what we drink and how much exercise. So don't focus on the scale. Focus on the things that lead to the improvement on the scale. And again, you can apply this to weightlifting. You can apply this to your career, to skills, to grades, to whatever. And so those are called leading indicators. Leading indicators are what those are called. And so I want to encourage you just to set those up for yourself. And you know what? And maybe it's obvious, maybe it's not obvious. And ask someone, say, hey, my goal is X. What are some things that I can measure daily or weekly that would help move me in the right direction? And let's just say you're in a career. Here's a typical one. You're in sales. Well, one of the things is in sales is how many people do you talk to? How many cold calls do you make? Okay. Are your sales down? Well, have you been on the phones? Have you been knocking on people's doors? See, that's just that's just an example of one right there. So set your goal not necessarily on what you want to accomplish, but on doing the daily things that get you to your goal. And see, I believe that goals, I think goals are awesome, but I believe that setting up systems of success in our lives in the form of habits and things we do every day that cause us to continually hit goals on a regular basis, rather than we're just going to carve out some goal and we're going to hit this goal. Well, then what? Guess what? I don't want to lose 100 pounds. I want to be a physically fit person. That's a different mindset. And so losing the weight is part of becoming physically fit. But then when you have the idea that I want to be physically fit, and again, this isn't the health channel, okay? But this is just an example. When I decide I want to be physically fit, well, that means, well, gosh, I do exercise, and I do eat healthy, and I'm not going to abstain from that donut because I'm trying to lose weight. I'm abstaining from that donut because I am a healthy person and I have healthy habits. And so, habits create a system of regular progress, regular achievement, and success. So setting up that for habits is even beyond goals for me. And one of the best things that we can do is set up our environment so it makes doing the right thing easier rather than harder. Okay, and for instance, think about it. Let's just say there was a big pallet of money with $1 million, $1,000,001 bills, pallet of money sitting in the street. Okay, it would be there's a lot of people that their integrity and honesty would be at risk. Okay, but now if you then lock that in a vault, well, it's less at risk because they're not going to break less people are going to try to break into it. It's kind of like that thought that locks aren't made to keep the thieves out, but they're made to keep honest people honest, right? And so setting up the environment, well, another example of this is, again, let's just go back to health and healthy eating for a second. If you don't want to eat bad, don't put it in your pantry. Don't put it in your shopping cart. Maybe don't even go down that aisle. So that when you are hungry or you're having a craving in that moment, the bad stuff isn't right there. Have healthy stuff there, and then as you start eating healthy stuff, it's going to become more of a habit. And this can apply to any part. This is not about necessarily the health and fitness channel, but I'm just using those as examples. Okay, and along those lines, let's talk about this. A lot of people do this. They're going to eat healthy. They're going to be on their diet, and then on the weekend they're going to have a cheat day. Oh, I can eat anything I want for this meal or this day. Well, that might work for some people, but for most people, that becomes a slippery slope of sliding right back into the bad habits. And I'm a fan of changing and reframing what reward is. If I'm going to eat healthy throughout the week, is my reward a big piece of cake at the end of the week? Is that really my reward? No, my reward is health and fitness, okay, energy, flexibility, etc. That's the reward I'm after. And so when you think about that, now all of a sudden that reward that isn't the same. So I want to look at that thing that I might think of as a reward, that piece of cake. I want to look at that, and I want to equate that with something that's going to make me fat, diabetic, and unhealthy. I don't want to see that as a reward. Does that make sense? And it's kind of like saying, what, I'm gonna tell the truth all week long. I'm gonna do a great job. Well, then on Saturday, gosh, I get to lie all day long. How stupid is that, friends, right? So let's reframe what we think of rewards, what we think rewards are. The rewards are health and fitness and energy and good rest and less medicines and such, okay? So reframe what the reward is that you're after. So one of the things that this really gets me, and maybe you know someone that's like this, or maybe you've dealt with this. We're going to switch subjects here for a second. Is you guys know that I'm reading Proverbs over and over and over, and there's just so much. I've got so many highlights and notes in Proverbs in different translations. Absolutely love Proverbs, and I am a student of Proverbs and a student of wisdom. And that's not that I've achieved it, but that's just something I yearn for and need more of in my life. And Proverbs 19:13 in the Passion Translation. Here, I'll just show it to you. I think I've got it right here. Oops, that's the wrong one there. We're going to go over to, where is it? Right here. It says this: there are some people who ruin their own lives and then blame it on God. There are some people who ruin their own lives and then blame it on God. And I would say this too. How many times, and you've heard me say this probably if you've been listening to me for very long, how many times do we pray and ask God for something, but then the things we do and our daily habits are in direct conflict with the things we're praying about? God, help me, again, back to the weight loss thing for a minute. God, help me lose weight. Well, then I'm going and stuffing my face with stuff that's not supporting that goal. And how can we go ask God for something when we're not doing our part? And I feel like too many times as Christians, we abandon personal accountability and we start saying things, well, I'm just trusting God. I'm just waiting on the Lord, with these platitudes. And guess what? It's a bunch of crap. That's right. It's a bunch of crap. It's called take personal accountability for your own life and your own actions. That's what it is. And you want to see the favor of God on your life, start taking accountability for your stuff. And then things are going to get way better. Okay? So enough of that. I know that didn't sound very encouraging, did it? Did that sound uplifting and inspiring? No, but you know what? It's the truth, and maybe that speaks to you, and maybe that doesn't speak to you. Maybe you don't have a problem with that. But if you do, I want to encourage you: personal accountability. Personal accountability. Take responsibility for the situations, for your mindset, for your actions. Okay. So. By the way, I heard a story a while back of there was a guy in a wheelchair, and a lady came up to him, and they were talking and just said, "Oh my gosh, I'm just so sorry that you have to be in this wheelchair." And the guy in the wheelchair said, "I'm thankful for my wheelchair. If I didn't have this wheelchair, I would be stuck in my house all day. This wheelchair has changed my life." Wow, think about that, friends. Think about that. Okay? Talk about counting your blessings. Talk about glass half full. You may have been dealt a hand that's not perfect. Okay? Maybe you weren't born with a silver spoon in your mouth. Most of us aren't, right? Okay, and every one of us, every single one of us, if we really wanted to, we could find a reason to give up, to quit, to be bitter, to say that, well, someone else had it better than I did. They have the advantage. I don't have the advantage. Guess what? Yeah, it's true. Some people have advantages over you in different areas. So what? So what? Guess what? God has given you what you have. And you need to make a decision. And I'm talking to me too, okay? I'm talking right back at Jason, okay? We have to take personal responsibility. And God is not going to hold us accountable for someone else's life and someone else's gifting and someone else's circumstances. He's going to hold us accountable for our own life, our own circumstances. What am I doing with what He's given me? What am I doing in this situation? Yeah, maybe I'm in a hole. What am I doing to climb out of this hole? What are you doing? Are you making excuses for why you're not living out loud? For why you're not doing what you're supposed to be doing? Or are you taking personal accountability for it? I hope you're taking personal accountability for it. There's a number of things that can hold us back from living out loud. And One of them is holding grudges. And friends, I consider myself a very forgiving person, but there's times when I'm not aware of my own feelings, and so I've had these moments of realization before. I'm like, wow, was I just holding a grudge against that person, unforgiveness, or whatever you want to call it? Was I really doing that? And I was unbeknowingly holding in a negative feelings. And friends, that doesn't do anybody any good. Doesn't do them any good, and it certainly doesn't do you any good. And whether we're consciously or subconsciously doing that, that's like drinking poison and expecting the other person to die. It's not going to happen. Grudges and unforgiveness poison you, not them. Poison us, not them. And Proverbs 19:11. This is another one here. I think I've got this one up right here. Let's try this one real quick. Let's see if I had this in the right spot. Proverbs. Nope, that's 19:17. We're going to talk about that one in a minute. And let's see. I guess I didn't. We'll come back to it. I didn't put that one on here today. Okay. So Proverbs 19:11 says this: a wise person demonstrates patience, for mercy means holding your tongue. When you are insulted, be quick to forgive and forget it, for you are virtuous when you overlook an offense. And friends, we need to overlook offenses. We need to, I joke about this, but back in the day, if you're old enough, you remember that Bill Clinton, they used to call him Teflon Bill because nothing would stick to him. Well, maybe we need to have a layer of Teflon, that when people say things about us or to us that want to hurt us or injure us, that they don't stick. They splat and fall to the ground. We're covered in Teflon. Have a Teflon mindset when it comes to negative things in your life. It doesn't stick. It doesn't stick. I'm not offended. I'm not hurt. That doesn't bother me. Move on. Tough skin, covered in Teflon. No non-stick. Okay? And so that's when holding grudges is a big thing. And so, hey, there's Rochelle. Hey, Rochelle, thank you so much for joining in, girl. You bless me. That's my girl. Here's something else that's going to hold us all back from living out loud. Being a know-it-all. Being a know-it-all. Being unteachable, uncoachable, not a good listener. And is that you? Do you struggle with that? And I want to tell you what, the book of Proverbs has a lot to say about people who don't want to listen to wisdom. A lot to say about that. So I want to encourage you, friends, forgive, forget, and be coachable. Even when a constructive comment comes across in a negative manner, you can still take it and you can receive it right, and it can be valuable to you and it can help change your life, regardless of who says it. Okay? By the way, let's talk about what's a way to accelerate living out loud. Is being loud and obnoxious, is that a way to accelerate living out loud? No, it's not. No, it's not. A way to accelerate living out loud is, I'm going to show you the scripture right here. Here's one of my favorite, and it's Proverbs 19:17. And it says, every time you give to the poor, you make a loan to the Lord. Don't worry, you'll be repaid in full for all the good you've done. Now, I'm not suggesting that we give to anyone so that we'll get, but I believe that that God is the most generous one ever. And if we just try to be a little more like Him, and we become generous, I think, and when we give to the poor, we're making a loan to God. And God sees that, and He's going to remember that. So one of the ways that we live out loud is simply helping other people. Living out loud is about our purpose in this world that God has created us for, and that purpose has to do with other people, with making this world a better place, with making their lives better, with speaking truth and love and wisdom, okay, and encouragement. So that's a way to accelerate living out loud, is giving. Now, I want to share one more quick scripture with you today, and it's this. We're kind of talking, scattered all around today on several different topics, but here's another one here, and this one is let's put this one up. This one is, I've got to zip back to it here. Right here. Proverbs 19:21. All of Proverbs 19 today. A person may have many ideas concerning God's plan for his life, but only the designs of his purpose will succeed in the end. So let's talk about that for a minute. This is yet another reason why we need to discover what we're designed for. I can't live your life and you can't live my life. We, friends, need to live our own lives, okay? And when we are living the purpose that God has created us for, that's when we're going to succeed. That's when we're going to be fulfilled. We're going to see the greatest success, the great impact, the greatest fulfillment, the greatest joy, okay? So I just want to encourage you, friends, fill your mind, your life with the things of the Lord. Read the Word every day. Spend time with Him. Listen to Him every day. And, of course, read books, but read your Bible every day. And discover what giftings God has given you. And then have the courage to develop those, to take them for a spin, try them out, water them, grow them. And if they've been sitting in the closet under piles of old blankets, dust them off, oil them up, shine them up, and get going again with it, okay? You are important. What you have is valuable. And if you think that for 1 minute that you don't have anything that this world needs, you're wrong. I'm telling you right now, you're wrong. You have a purpose, a calling in this life, in this world. The world needs what you have. You are more awesome than you think. You are God's workmanship. And you need to go out and live out loud. Start living out loud today. Take the next step. Whatever that step is, take the next step and go live out loud, okay? Friends, I bless you today. I love you, and I hope that you have an amazing day. If you have any questions, reach out to me. I'm here to support you. I'm here for you. God bless you. And don't forget, you're more awesome than you think. Bye now.